a little bit about my. Oh, wait a second. Okay, I'm not sure what's going. Wait, sorry. Okay, I'm not. All right. Okay. My name is Shmuel Eber. I started a project a few years ago, and it wasn't. I do apps. I do apps for Tefillin and Mezuzah and Hanukkah, Purim. They had a lot of success, and so I started. I decided it would be a good idea to do Moshiach as well, and so I made a Moshiach app. It wasn't that much effort put into it; it was more of a throwaway app. But what kind of surprised me is that people started downloading it. I only looked at the numbers recently, even before, but initially a few years ago, I already started looking at the numbers and realized people were downloading, and I decided I want to do an iteration of the app. I want to redo it and make it a lot more involved. Recently, once I finished this update number 2, update number 3, however you want to look at it, I looked at the numbers and realized that Baruch Hashem, over 10,000 people have already downloaded the app. It kind of shocked me how many people are already involved in this app. I thought there was maybe 1,000, 2,000. I never imagined there was already over 10,000 without me even focusing on it. But yeah, Mitzvah Shem, Rosh Chodesh Adar, over the past year, we've been working on redoing the app. Rosh Chodesh Adar, we're launching this new update of the app in an official capacity. It's already live in the App Store, but the official launch is on Rosh Chodesh Adar. I found out about this group, and I was like, you know what? If people are already kaching a Moshiach on a group, maybe I could get some help promoting and pushing this. I really want this app to be downloaded as possible. This is only a trial run, let's call it, of an official launch. I want to keep iterating the app, keep fixing it up, and making it a lot better. But yeah, that's the brief history of the app. I'll share the screen, and I'll just run you through the actual app in live. Let me find it. I guess tell me if this works. But this should.
Yeah, we see it.
You can see it?
Yes.
Okay, you can see my mouse as well?
That's right.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I haven't done this before. Okay, this is the app. What's nice about it is, it can be customized to each person. Everyone could add in their own information. The general idea is a lot of people feel like Moshiach has to be this massive investment that they have to go, they have to learn, 3 hours of Yonigul Moshiach, and then if they don't do enough every single day, then somehow they're a failure. And I'm trying to introduce an idea that it could be just literally 3 sentences. This is it. This is the entire project. It's one little sentence that comes from Rabbeinu B'chai. I try to make the sources as diverse as possible. To be fair, I didn't actually write this. I hired someone to write it. But I'm trying. I told him. I said, make it as diverse. Make it everything. The Vilna Gaon, the Ben Ish Chai, a Rebbe Sicha, as diverse as possible. That way, everyone feels like they're being represented. And the idea is this is a little snippet. And that's the whole thing. They log in and people do it. People actually, I get firsthand reports of people that read this around their dinner table. They do it every day. They encourage other people to do it. People are getting involved because it's such low commitment. And the new big update, in addition to all the lessons being fresh, because people are getting bored of the same ones, is a challenge, which means that you could do, based on every day's Inyan Gul Mashiach, that 3-sentence thing, something practical, and you get to pick the hardness level, and it actually feels like a game. Time remaining is 9 hours until midnight tonight. And again, the challenges themselves are incredibly diverse, between giving tzedakah, learning a little bit of extra Torah, kindness. It's always a very specific challenge. It's not general. It's not like feel good. It's something very poem, something very practical. Convince someone to wear a kippah for 5 minutes a day. It's very easy, and that's the easy level. The hard level is 2 hours instead of 5 minutes. It's a poem Amish that's really practical and really random. I'm trying to make sure that it kind of touches all areas. That's the core point of the app. That's a core element of the app, is the daily challenge. I tried to gamify it a little bit by adding, points. Most people probably won't be motivated by that, but some people might find it fun. Stages, as you get a certain amount of points, if people are feeling, they like the game element and they like challenge and competition, they could challenge their friends and say, well, I'm already on stage 4 and you're only on stage 1. It adds a bit of game to it. That's the core app. Now, there is additions to the app, and this is where I want to start to scale the app with time. This is going to be the first big update, but I want to start scaling it, and that is, I want to make an option that people could add, win prizes by adding artwork. There's gonna be a children's edition and an adults edition where they could do Moshiach related artwork and win prizes. My idea is twofold. Firstly, it'll bring a kach to Moshiach and let people use their talents towards Moshiach, but also in order to submit, you have to download the app, which will get people downloading the app, and then they'll get the notification every day. And when they realize how low the investment is, hopefully they'll start every day just logging in and doing a little bit. And the videos is just YouTube videos of Yanagul Moshiach. At the moment, it isn't curated as well as I want it to be. I'm planning to, before Rosh Chodesh, I'm going to update that in such a way that it's very, very diverse portfolio of videos. The news, haven't really touched it yet. Again, it's an add-on, but it's something which I want to do, and that is finding the day-to-day news that's related to Moshiach. And there's plenty of it, and just curating stories so people could go through it and feel like they're actually having some positive news. Tut Alt, you're probably familiar with Tut Alta's work. It's brilliant, and I wanted to incorporate it in the app because it just feels appropriate. I haven't fully done what I want to do with Tut Alt. I want to make it a lot more integrated and a lot more involved, but for now, just it's a link that actually opens up inside of the apps. That way they feel like they're still in the app experience, but at the same time they can start learning more about what Tut Alt does and get more invested. The Moshiach blessings, it's very interesting. Initially, in the first update, we only had 5 brachos. It turns out that was a mistake, and there actually is 6 brachos to do with Moshiach, which is something I never knew. And we made the latest update to reflect that there's actually 6 brachos, not 5. It's a very common misconception, but I actually spoke to Rabbanim about it. It turns out I was wrong, so I was glad to be corrected. The challenge history, just so people can, see the challenge history. The other nice touch that I saw is that we added in is the reminders. Firstly, someone's in the middle of the challenge. There's a reminder an hour later to do it. But this is the one that I really like, and that is people could set the time of when their challenge reminds them. Because some people, they believe in doing it. They know that it's a low commitment. They possibly just forget. And so the idea is that they could set a reminder, and if they don't like the reminder, of course, they could just turn it off. But another interesting update is people like doing things Lili Nishma someone. Usually the developers pick who they're doing Lili Nishmas. And I thought it might be a nice touch for people to actually add in who they're doing it. Because people want to dedicate this towards someone personal. I actually made it that they could customize that and actually put that in themselves. That's the app. Again, I plan to iterate it. This is definitely not the final version. This is just the start of something hopefully really big. But I hit Pearl Mamish. That's the app. Pearl Mamish. Why I spoke to Mendy. Why I'm so invested in talking to people, especially people that are already kaching the Mashiach, is I have 4 Pearl Mamishes that if you guys are willing to help me out, what could actually help me out with this app? Yeah. Number 1, Pearl Mamish, is if you guys could download the app, go to the App Store and leave a 5-star review. It would really, really help. The more 5-star reviews that are on the app, the more people are encouraged that this is a great app. And I've been asking person to person, trying to get as many reviews as possible. It really helps. So if you could go to the App Store and just leave 5-star review, that's incredible. A second Pearl Mamish is encourage other people to download the app, and also encourage them to leave a 5-star review. The more 5-star reviews, the more that this app hits the algorithm of the app stores, both the iOS and the Android, and it'll encourage more people to download the app. The third thing, Pearl Mamish, that could help me with this app, or help us with the app, help all of you in with this app, is social media. On Wednesday, or even if you schedule and forget on Wednesday, then you could already do it now. But on Wednesday, we're going to do the official launch. I've already got a whole bunch of influencers on Instagram and on Twitter, and we're working to get as many people as possible to push it. But Rosh Chodesh Adar, we want to push this app. If you could join this effort and just go on social media and start pushing, telling people to download the app, it would be incredible. I've already my graphics team. I have a marketing company. I have a website development company. So my graphics artists have created a whole group of artwork that you guys could just straight away put onto social media, whatever it is. I made a quick link for it, so if you want to get straight there, it's called from770.com. It brings you straight to the location of the app landing page. If you scroll down the page, you'll see a link to see all the graphic artwork that can be shared. And the fourth way you could help is if you have any access to publications or news stories, online or offline, doesn't matter, and you could just spread the word to them and let them know about the app. Yeah. And that's it. That's my presentation.
Beautiful. Very nice. Well, did you consider?
I'm sorry, I'm just beginning. What's the name of the app to find it?
What
What's the name of the app to go into the App Store?
Moshiach now.
Moshiach. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we should add also this. Do you know about this?
Yeah, I just downloaded it last week. It was really cool.
Okay, Baruch Hashem.
1 minute. No, I thought you were saying, Ruben, you're telling them about this booklet. Maybe you can put this in. You know what this is all about?
You mean the new one, not this one, the new
The
one.
new one. Where's the new one? Does anyone have the new one?
You have it online. Litvin
I
already
can
put it
send it,
online
right,
2
right.
weeks ago.
I can send it to you online, right? Do you know what this is
But
all about?
my question is,
Yeah, go ahead.
what's what upon him with Moshiach if he would come and we wouldn't have an app? So that's already, we cleared that. The Rebbe said that maybe we still need to print in Brill and this and that. Now Moshiach has an app already. Is coming gleich. That's it.
I think the problem is that
fantastic.
Moshiach has
The
an app.
videos you can put on so much stuff, like short. I think you should keep it to very short videos that are giving like short inspiration.
Yeah, I
Short
agree.
inspiration, the videos and the news. Mendy, we keep on posting news stories. We're always posting on the Minatzchim group various different news stories that indicate Geula. So we should just automatically say, can people upload those news stories, or it has to go through the creators of the app?
It has to be curated by someone on my team, but there is someone who's taking responsibility for it. And if people have if there's a way for them to join the group, if that's something that's always been shared, that would be amazing, because that way they could just, if they see a story, if you guys share a story and then that story makes sense to be there,
Maybe you can stay here, go back to the car.
then you know that could help them curate stories. That would be brilliant.
There's a guy in Eretz Yisrael who has just about every day, I think his group is called Geula Ba'olam. He has daily interesting things, how it's events in the world, how they're all very Moshiachik. Forget, Lugov is his name? Hold on.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
What?
I know who you're talking about.
Somehow I got onto this group. Yeah, Geula Ba'olam. Where is it? Shiva, Mashpiach, Lezos.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put
Shmuel's
Shmuel's contact information on
Yes,
the WhatsApp, so everybody can share their ideas
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
with him
Good idea.
afterwards as a follow-up.
100%.
We have Rabbi Hamnick on right now to address
you.
us. Following Shmuel. Shmuel, I just want to say Yasher Koach, it's beautiful. And I
Wow.
think this group in particular,
Yeah.
shluchim from around the world, have ideas for you that will be very beneficial, and also resources to help you with the launch.
We're a
I'm
great
greatly
group for
appreciative.
ideas for the other one, right?
What, sorry?
So we're a great group to give ideas to others.
Listen, I'll take them. I'm writing notes. I greatly appreciate it.
Really beautiful app. Yeah, Shekayach.
Thank you very much.
Where are you from, by the way? Where are you from?
I'm from Sydney, Australia, originally.
Sydney. Oh, beautiful.
Where you now?
Now I'm in East
Uh-huh.
Flatbush.
Oh, okay.
Peaceful.
Crown Heights, basically.
All right.
Okay,
Yasher
thank you
Koach.
very much. Thank you very much
Yes.
for having me.
You're welcome to stay on
Go
to
ahead.
hear Rabbi Hamnick.
I'll stay on.
Okay. Shalom. Brachos, everybody. I imagine from the format that it's not an opportunity. People didn't come in to hear a ganze shir in Chassidus. A little more practical orientation. But without Chassidus, there's nothing to talk about. So in the we're now coming up on Chodesh Adar, and this year we have a Purim Katan, and obviously everybody. One of the big things that everybody kochs in is the Mime Tetzava, the last to date Mime that the Rebbe was Magia fully and actually handed out. I was able to be there when the Rebbe handed out the Kontresim. and it comes up. People learn it every year, sometimes multiple times a year. Gimel Tammuz, other Yud Shvat, other special occasions. The devil also at that time there were actually two Maimarim that came out from the same year from Tavshim Aleph back to back. There was a Mime of Elam Mishpatim and a Mime Va'ata Tetzava. And just to take out a point that I think would be relevant to, obviously there's a lot in both of those Maimarim, but in the Mime of Elam Mishpatim that came out of Chof Shvat, so the Rebbe speaks. The Rebbe after speaking all about the bittul of an eved, and that even in Torah study, even in matters pertaining to seichel, has to be with the complete bittul of that the seichel itself is in a state of bittul. The Rebbe and the Maila of a skafia. So the Rebbe says a very interesting thing there. The Rebbe talks about the tzaddik who has no taivas, he has no Yetzirah, right? But he wants to have the mile of his skafia. He wants to have his skafia. He's looking for the challenge. He's looking for the fight so that he could fight himself and have the mile of his skafia. So the Rebbe explains that he has to create for himself a taiva. He doesn't have one. He has to generate within himself a taiva. It can't be make-believe. It has to be for real. He has to generate within himself a taiva in order to be able to resist that time. The Rebbe says the tremendous mila in this form of a skafia is that it's purely tainuk. Normally a skafia is associated with struggle and pain. For the tzaddik, this is skafia, even though he has the struggle is real. The time is real now and the struggle is real. But it's all doing it in order to have the mile of a skafia. So he's enjoying the challenge, he's enjoying the fight, he's enjoying the battle. In the next Mime, the Mime of Atat Tetzava, there was a Mime in between that year of the vehicle Truma, but in the Mime, but the Rebbe was Magia for us. The Mime of Atat Tetzava, the Rebbe says there, talks about those who only were able to reach high levels when they were confronted with a fight, when they had an opposition and there was a fight and there was a struggle and there was a challenge, they were able to reveal very deep powers inside themselves. When they came to a place where there's no fight anymore, there's no challenge, there's no, so then they sort of cooled down. They just got back to everyday living and whatever was special about them that came out in those times when they were confronting the struggle and the fight, that appears to be gone. So there was so what's the Eitzah? If there's no struggle, there's no fight, what's the Eitzah? So the Rebbe speaks in terms of the fact that when you're living in the light, when you're living in the light, when you're living in the freedom, in the Rebbe describes even someone who's living in a state of such high revelation of Gilead and Sof, and he decides that, and he feels this kvetch, this internal pressure that says this is not good enough. Very nice. I have whatever I have, and it's all beautiful and it's all wonderful. This is not. I have to push on because internally I can't be satisfied. It's great. It's wonderful, but it's not the whole thing. It's the push and the drive to get to go all the way, and have obviously I was talking in terms of Gilead Lakus, of the revelation of the Amish in the world with the coming of Moshiach. So here it's a very interesting thing that you find these two things where the Rebbe talks about somebody who doesn't really have a challenge. He doesn't really have a fight. He doesn't really have a struggle. And he has to sort of either manufacture one or he has to dig deep inside himself in order to find the challenge and to rise to that challenge. So but the Tzad HaShavah seems to be that the Rebbe is saying that in our times, the challenges that are supposed to drive us, it's not supposed to be about fighting the darkness. It's about living in the light. It's about living in the light, and within the light itself, confronting the challenges to experience greater light in life. What is this? So, okay, it's not just in Avodah Ruchnis, it's actually in practical everyday real life. We see that we're living in a world of tremendous abundance, what they call, people are looking for problems, what they call first world problems. People are looking for challenges. And very often what ends up happening is that people are fighting each other, people are fighting things, because people want the challenge, people want the direction of how, what is better than this? This whatever it is that I have is not satisfying me. What's better? But not to tell them how bad things are. And the focus is not on how bad things are and how to get away from the negativity. It's, yeah, things are good. Exactly. It's not enough. I need something more. It's, in other words, it's overcoming the challenges from a place of pleasure, from a place of enjoyment, from a place of life, from a place of revelation. It's not about, well, as the Rebbe says in many places, many times, that the difference between Yetzias Mitzrayim and the future redemption is that Yetzias Mitzrayim is about Kibarach Ha'am, it's about running away from the negativity. The future redemption is about it's not about running, it's not about running away from anything. It's it's about following the Amish, going towards the positivity. I have just two things from the Welt that over the past couple of years that I have many indications of this, in the positive and the negative. There was a lady, I don't remember what state she was from, I think maybe from Texas, that in her kids' school system, they decided to get rid of all competition. So the soccer league in the schools was, well, everybody wins. There's no winners and losers. Everybody wins. Everybody has trophies. Everybody. So she decided that for her kids, she thought her kids would enjoy a challenge. They would want a real challenge, a real competition. So she decided to open a league for kids who want competition, who want to have the real challenge, who want to have the real competition. So on your own time, it's not on school time anymore. It's not a school thing. It's on your own time to join a soccer league, and there would be winners and losers. There will be competition. Amazingly, and she had rules. The kid has to want it. It can't be helicopter parents that are pushing the kid. It can't be or protecting the kid. You have to interview each kid, and you have to really want it, and you have to really. She was overwhelmed by the demand that so many kids. You think kids, right? Every parents are busy protecting their kids. So many kids wanted to join up, use their free time to get into a league, to get into a thing that she couldn't keep up with the demand. So there's this idea that you see that, and interestingly, she's discovered that almost all of these kids were coming from homes with two parents, with a strong support system, and they were looking for something. They felt good about themselves. They were looking for something challenging, and that would be their enjoyment. The challenge was coming from a place of looking. They were going to enjoy it. They weren't doing this to make themselves miserable. They were doing this in order to enjoy, to have fun. But the real enjoyment in life is when confronting a challenge, when feeling like I'm part of something that I have to work towards, that I have to make an effort, I have to push beyond. On the other end, I saw an interview with a guy. Interestingly, he was a young Black fellow who came from one of the scariest towns in New Jersey. And he ended up, he identifies himself as a conservative. He ended up in Texas of all places. And what does he do? He works with minority prisoners in prison. What is he going to do for the minority prisoners in prison? He described how in his own family there were, he has a brother, he has others in the family that got caught up in the prison system. So what does he do? He teaches them entrepreneurial skills. He comes to these guys who they grew up on the streets, they were involved in crime, they were involved in this, and he teaches them entrepreneurial skills. So the interviewer says to him, like, what's that like? I mean, telling people who are coming from a whole different world, a whole different culture, the idea that how to go out and develop this market skills and services and goods and services and interact with the world and the business world. He says it's like trying to tell people, trying to convince people there's life on Mars. It's totally foreign to them, the whole thing. And he says what's even harder for them to understand is that most of my support, I work with white Christian groups, and they're the ones who are going to help these guys make the connections, do the deals, get the jobs. And to them, it's like their whole life, they grew up, it's like us against the system, us against the, and he says, like, for them to hear that, no, there's people out there who really want to see you succeed and want to help you and they're like, it's like a shock to them. And he says, and he says, I know I got through when I see the lights go on in their eyes. When I see the light go on and they get it, then I know I got through to them. So I think the idea is that we, both of these points, in a very Weltische way, but both of these points that we see that ever making it in these two Maimorim is that on the one hand, we're living in a time where when people are focused on the light, not focused on when people see the world as a dark place and they see the world as trying something to run away from, to escape, that's not where people are successful. That's not where people are trying to escape from that. People get involved in all kinds of escapist things. Nobody's thinking that if everything is terrible and everything is miserable, I want to run away to something, there's something beautiful out there for me. That's not how people see the world. It's not how people react to living in a world where everything is dark and everything is negative. And it's a challenge to kind of show them that, no, there's something better out there. There's something, and it's not about fighting the darkness, it's about going towards the light. At the same time, people are not looking to have life. People who are in a good place are not looking to have things handed to them on a silver platter where they don't have to exert themselves, they don't have to put in any effort, they don't have to confront any challenges and overcome and face any competition. People want the challenge, but when they're in a good place and they want to go to a better place, people welcome the challenge, embrace the challenge, and enjoy the challenge. I think that a big part of our messaging in Negei Moshiach and Geula is that the real message of Moshiach and Geula is not running away from the negativity. Those who are all busy running away from the negativity, we are all talking about getting, traumas and psychologies, and we have all kinds of Jewish programs opening up to help people deal with their problems, with their negativities, with their tsaras, and that's becoming a whole industry within the Jewish world, within the Frum world, even within the Lubavitch world, where the focus gets on going back and confronting and dealing with the negativity. And even if obviously some people who need it, and I'm sure some people are helped, but you still are ending up living in and being trapped in the realm of negativity. When the focus is on the positivity, all of the tremendous positive things that are happening in the world, that are going on in the world, not about running away from the negative things, and the negative things are out there. Nobody's saying they're not. But the point is that focus on the positivity of the message and the embracing the challenge. Not, I think I've met a lot of young people in growing up in the Chabad system, a lot of young people who feel like the Moshiach thing is like a burden. It's like another responsibility, another obligation, another. No, it's supposed to be for our own, both for our internal messaging and for our external messaging. It's supposed to, yes, it's challenging, it's difficult, and there are going to be painful situations when you're in a challenging and difficult situation, but ultimately it's supposed to be a pleasure, because you're living it when you're living in revelation and being driven towards greater revelation. That is much more empowering and much more, and makes the challenge a pleasure, rather than if you're trying to escape from the darkness. So people need to see that there is a way out of the darkness by going towards the light, not by fighting the darkness. And at the same time, when you're in the light, it doesn't mean to just, okay, I arrived, and now what do I do? It's about picking up the gauntlet, taking the challenge. Let's take it a step further. Let's actually do what it takes to complete the process and to actually bring Moshiach here and now. Okay. If anybody has any questions that in terms of like what would that look like practically?
Yeah, I would say how would be a good word to start with. I mean, Yeshua, by the way, for Mashiach days that were done, Lifnei Gimel Tammuz, if you were involved in those,
Okay.
So Yeshua. I know a lot of people got a lot out of them, so they were,
Okay.
But it just seems that the big question, is how when there's there's service on the right, service on the left, service in the front, and service on the back. Smiling doesn't get you anywhere, somehow. It just that's the question.
So again, the answer is, I mean, Chassidus has always been about, obviously, even in the darkest times, Chassidus has always been on focusing on the positive and focusing on the light. But here we're not talking about just focusing on the positive as opposed to focusing on the negative, because actually, as the Rebbe explains, that's part of what we call birurim. Birurim means there's positive and negative mixed in, and you focus on the positive and put aside the negative. That's what the birur process is, whether it's in a piece of bread or it's in a whatever it may be. You're trying to, there's a negative aspect, there's, and then there's the godly positive aspect, and you're trying to push aside, separate the positive from the negative and focus on the positive. The Rebbe says that this stage is the stage of post-birurim. In post-birurim, it's in the language of like the Rebbe said on Simchas Torah, Tavshin and Beis, the Rebbe said a shocking state. The Rebbe said it's no more enough Kol Masech L'Shem Shemayim Kol D'Rechecha D'Eyu. Now it's the avodah of Einoid Muvad. We're not about separating the good from the bad, the positive from the negative, the refinement process. We're about it's all God. If I don't see it yet, we have to push to get to the point where we'll be able to see it. But I have to be looking for the signs. I have to be looking in the places where I can see it, that it's all God. That ain't even about the place where I can see it. That's where I have to be putting my focus. Then, yes, there are still places where I can't necessarily see it, but I know so that's part of what I'm pushing towards, the time and the place where I will be able to see it. But I have to be starting with, I'm not in a place where I could start juggling and figuring out and separating out and sifting out. There has to be, it's again, not positivity as a strategy. it's positivity as a reality. That's the reality is a kid growing up today has to grow up in the reality that Torah, mitzvahs, Yiddishkeit, Chassidishkeit is the most geschmack thing ever. He has to grow up. It's not, if I'm sitting and trying to figure out how to fight his negative impulses and how to fight his this and that, then I created a battle of wills, and I very often we lose those. Kids have pretty strong will, and they're gonna, hurt themselves, even though because there's a battle of wills. We're not looking for the fight. We understand that there are challenges, and even the challenges, the way we confront the challenges are focusing on getting to the light, getting to the positivity, getting to the, and in every interaction with people, you will see that sometimes people who you're trying to reach out to, you could see that they'll sometimes try to pick a fight. They really will. You think like, I'm being the nice guy, I'm reaching out here and this, and yet it feels like they're trying to pick a fight. And they're testing you. And you have to figure out how to step around that, how to bypass, how to sidestep the fight and turn the focus towards living in revelation, towards living in, yes, people, those times that before Gimel Tammuz, those times when, when we literally knew that the Geula was Amish any second. It didn't feel strange after Shabbos reading how the Rebbe said Moshiach is going to come before Shalosh Udas, before Mincha. What do you mean? I'm reading after Shabbos. I was coming before Mincha. It didn't even seem strange at the time because it was so real. It was so now. It was so happening. That's where we have to. The reason I always felt, why did it ever print a sikha the next week about how Moshiach is coming before Mincha the week before? I mean, why put that in? You didn't have to include that, right? I felt that that's where the Rebbe wants us to live. He's sharing with us a way of seeing reality in which we're relentlessly focused on going towards the light and not on running away from things. Okay. If there's anything more specific, if not, I'll.
No, it's first of all it's
More
gewaldic
specifics.
to see you, Rabbi Hamnik.
Maybe give more
Shalom Aleichem.
specifics in chinuch. Give more specifics in chinuch. How would you deal with a situation that you don't want to deal with the ra? It's just sometimes,
Okay. So
sometimes the person that you're trying to mashpia doesn't understand really the air. You understand? So you can talk to him. Maybe you're holding there, but not the mushpa.
So it's very interesting that in Tafshin and Beis, in Telas Tafshin and Beis, that ever spoke about the connection that a little child has with Atzmos,
Right.
and that ever said that actually what we need is, that ever says we need to correct the idea that Moshiach is only about Yechidah Shava Nefesh. We need to add and correct. It's actually about Etzem HaNeshama. It's about that. He says, because Yechidah Shava Nefesh still depends on having deep ideas in Torah and deep, very high levels. The Rebbe said, no, we need to go to that place of utter simplicity that a child has, that utterly simple connection. So, and and the Rebbe really goes into says, that's how we need to start our day. Like before Maidani, you need to start your day from that place. Before Maidani, which the Rebbe has the whole beer, how Maidani is the Chiddush of Nefesh, that's on the essence of Chassidus. The Yanish of Teres says, and the Rebbe comes along and says, no, even before the Maidani, you woke up, you're a Jew. Wow, you have that connection with the Amish. So as a chinuch tool, what the Rebbe is telling us is we need to focus on that innocent and pure connection and direct, not convoluted, not made complex, and that simple connection that every Jewish child has with the Eibishter, but turn that into something that's such a tremendous positive. Somebody asked me, what do I do to get my kid to make brachos? I said, Shabbos afternoon, make a brachos party. Explain to him the Zinyan of Meya brachos. and you have to have brachos. And Shabbos, we're gonna have a brachos party. And not just a party. The party mamish should be with singing and dancing with mamish. Oh, we're making brachos, and when we say a bracha, we bring Hashem down here, and it's, it's not just about not just about getting to the candy, getting to the food, getting to this. This is Mea brachos b'chol yom. This is the highest. This is amazing. I said, if you make that into such an overwhelmingly positive experience, without any muster, there's no muster involved. You didn't tell him bad, good, good, bad. You didn't get into the whole, there's no conflict.
So you don't even talk about the Yetzer Hara, in other words. No, the Yetzer Hara.
Talk about the Yetzer Hara. You didn't talk about anything. You talk about how exciting we're going to have this amazing brachos party. It's all about brachos, and we're going to have a shahakal, and we're going to have a adam, and we're going to have a eitz, and we're going to have a mezainis, and we're going to do a little pencil for each one, and we're going to make this, and we're going to have the best. The kid gets the message that it's something real. It is real. He's sitting there. It's in front of him. It's real. The nash, the food. This is the stuff that he relates to. It's real, and it's exciting, and it's fun, and it's meaningful because you're telling him this is what. Shabbos, we don't get a chance to make as many brachos, and because and now we have to find ways to make brachos, and it's great to make. So a while later, I meet the guy. Said, "No, what happened?" He said, "I don't feel comfortable." He said, "It's your problem. Now you're kvetching about the kids. The hang up, it's your hang up. You don't know. You don't feel like." I said, "Don't let your hang ups get in the way. Your old ghost hang-ups get in the way of these kids who the Rebbe is, and when you see it in them, the Rebbe is telling us we need to have that. That's what we need to start our day with before Maidani. We need to be that little kid, and that's how we're supposed to go through our day. And then the Rebbe says that's how we reveal Moshiach in the world. The Rebbe says that's how you live a day where it's all about revealing Moshiach in the world. When you're coming from that place of childish simplicity. Not telling you to throw out all of your deep meditations and knowledge, and then he's telling you it's all part of the package, but your starting point, your basis, your most fundamental connection is that same Etzem HaNeshama that the Moshe Rabbeinu reveals in V'ata Tetzaveh, that I was telling you, that's where you need to be starting your daily life. You how you relate to and interact with yourself. So in India Geret, we don't Yetzer Hara doesn't come into the conversation anymore. Besides when you learn Tanya. Yeah, no. I'm saying if he comes into the conversation, it's only in the context, like the Rebbe said, that's part of the Tainug. Part of the Tainug is to have a challenge, the challenge.
So the challenge, that's the Yetzer Hara. The challenge is the Yetzer Hara.
It's not that it's in other words, the Rebbe Rashab in Echter explains that the whole challenge of the Bechira is, the Rebbe brings in a number of places, the whole challenge of Bechira is that when you're in it, it feels like you don't know how this is going to end. Right? You don't know. You feel like you don't know. Otherwise, if you knew the ending, like you knew how it all plays out in the end, if you really knew it, not if you had. You learned that yeah, but that may involve Gilgulim and Gehennims and all kinds of things till you get there. We're talking about if you really knew the end of the story, you wouldn't have the challenge. So the Rebbe is telling us we need to live like we know the end of the story. We're walking towards the end of the story. We're the people bringing the world towards the end of the story. So there's challenges. Yeah, but it's not supposed to be about am I a good person? Am I a bad person? Am I this? That's not that. You saw that the Rebbe started the whole Shlichus initiative. The Rebbe said, if you're convinced that you're on the level of Esav, go on Shlichus. Because that's the Hira that Rebbe took from the fact that we learned the three things that Meichel and Kol Avin from Esav marrying Basmas. So that if you're convinced that you're Esav, so what's the answer for you? The answer for you is become a shliach. We need more Esavs in the showing up at the Shluchim convention. We need more Esavs. This is what we need. So what's the message there? The message there is, don't get in the mud and fight. You can't, don't get in the mud. Step above it. And you'll see the theme throughout. More and more in the later years, and even more in Tafshin and Beis, it's Mamish all about the end of Menalef and Beis. There was Mamish talking about, and that was really the whole theme of the Iraq War. Sit back. Yeah, that was the theme of the Iraq War. The message was sit back and let the guy take care of Saddam. So like, you're above it. You're that's how the Amish is, that's the message the Amish is telling us is we need to be above it. And if there's a need to take on this, it's not because what's going to be. It's because that's part of that's what keeps the juices flowing. That's what keeps things exciting. That's what keeps you motivated. But it's not to get stuck in the mud, to be above it, and to live in the light. The world out there, like this guy's trying to convince these black prisoners. The world out there, there's a nice world out there. There's nice people out there. They care about you. They want to help you. It's not. You have to get out of your dark sense of what the world is about. You're living in prison. You will grow up in a slum, and you're living. And he has to take these guys and show them a world that's completely a new world. Is it? But that's. We need to do that for ourselves too, because we are prisoners for thousands of years. We need to do that for ourselves. We need to do that for our kids. We need to do that for our mushpaim, our mekaravim, our mechonachim, whatever the situation is.
It's interesting that the Yud-based Psukim, there's nothing there that has to do with the Lashon Hara or Yitzhahara. Everything is Kudusha.
Yeah.
Everything is. It's interesting.
Right. Although in the Moshiach Times magazine,
right,
never did have this thing of but even in that, it was like in a humorous way. It was like it was a Geschmacka storyline. It was like they
didn't take him serious. They didn't take
right. That's the values. Yeah, it was a game, spy versus spy. It was it wasn't like the Yitzhahara is against that was not how it was set up.
But I think what you're saying, the Aleph and Beis is telling us we have to do tactical pale mamish. All that we learned all until now you have to start living it. So that's a whole other.
Yeah. They never mamish. You see, you go all the way back. Mishpatim Tavshin Yud Aleph. So B'Shalach Tavshin Yud Aleph did ever verbring for a short time. Sort of Behemshich to Yud Shvat. He said a short Mime Yeshevis Baganim. He explained that he didn't mention the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid in the Mime, but and so now he's doing it. And the Rebbe spoke, and he spoke about giving Zechova to the Shlichus, even if you're convinced that you could accomplish great things in whatever you think. The next week was sort of like the first week, Mishpatim with the Rebbe Fabrang, and Mamish then already. Mishpatim Tavshir Al, the Rebbe said that the story of that they didn't send in after that they didn't send the slaves free after the 6 years. They freed them, then they took them back. So the Rebbe says, that you have to be aware of the fact that the whole 6 years of working is all to reach to Bashviyas Yetzel Achav Shechinam. And the Rebbe says, if so late sich nicht bei dir the Bashvi Yetzel Achav Shechinam, is a simon that the 6 years you also didn't do it the right way. Because the whole 6 years was only a means to an end. That's how you have to be living. That the work in Elam Hazard, the work in Golos, the work was never an end unto itself. It was only we're trying to get somewhere. And if you're not ready to go there when the time comes, you're not ready to let your slave go, your inner slave go, and now become a free man, now become an Oved Hashem, because this is what it's all about. Not because not because I'm constantly fighting with myself, but because this is really what it's all about. If you're not ready to go, then you didn't do it. This is Mamish all the way at the beginning. This Mamish setting it up in the beginning that there's going to come a time when the challenge is going to be making the transition from being an Eved to being Chafshi. That's Mamish way back in the beginning. You have to talk about Posi Lagani and the job and the Ibigavim and the next thing he said is, by the way, it's very, yes, you have to do the job, but you need to know that the job has a a cutoff point.
Endpoint.
And that's going to be, then we're going to see if you did the job the right way, if you're ready to move on to the next stage. And that's, the idea, people still struggling with, as in the traditional sense, that something ended, something changed. Birurim ended, traditional shlichus ended, whatever that is, whatever that ending is, and that new beginning is, we're still 30 years later pilpling and tumbling and arguing and debating what that transition is. And I think just that Evan was cluing us in all along, every step of the way, he's saying it, but it's hard. We're still looking for a fight. We're still looking for we're still want to go back and address the darkness or escape the darkness or partizich with the darkness. And we need to learn to embrace the light.
By the way, I want to mention Benagea, the challenge point that you were talking about. This weekend, obviously, everyone realized that Balabatim had a big koch on the Super Bowl. So so by the minyan yesterday, I mentioned in the morning, you got to take our dog. Super Bowl. Okay, let's take something ruchnis. Let's learn a lesson. So I said two things. The second one is more negative to what you said. The first one I said, no matter how good the quarterback is, if you don't have a good receiver, you will never win. Which means the Amish is a perfect quarterback. He sends you exactly what you need, exactly in the right time, right? We have to be the right kalim to partially receive what the Amish gives, because he sends it a perfect pass. That's one thing. Or we can say the Rebbe geht uns the Rebbe is the perfect quarterback. And geht uns, Shaili is how good of a receiver we are. But the second thing I said, just a very important thing I said, without as bad as that opponent team, as strong as it's trying to make your life miserable and to make sure that you lose, the bottom line is, without the opponent team, you will never become a champion. What makes you a champion? The opponent team. Because if they don't come to the field and they don't fight you, you will never become an opponent. You should be thankful to that team, because without them, you will never become a champion. No matter how good you are, you will never become a champion without the opponent team. And that's an Nakuda, which I mentioned many times, but this is an opportune time to bring the Ira to wissen, as nicht zu quetschen, nicht zu sagen, oi Gewalt, they're making us life miserable. Verkehrt. Here's our opportunity, guys. Let's now bring out our keches and show how we are the champions. But who is going to do that? Dafka the challenge. Dafka the opponent team is going to bring out your. So that's the same Nakud that you're saying, basically. It's about fetching, but knowing that is the end goal. The whole purpose is as we get to the finish line, to do the touchdown. Shechina lamatu.
Thanks to you, I now found out that this week was Super Bowl weekend. I managed to get this far without knowing, but
how do you explain a question? How do you explain that the Gulish and Dam in the Egen? How do you explain in your segment?
Well, actually, if you go back earlier, before the Rebbe said that, he actually said even more. He said, I mean, in a way more. It's in a way. He said that the Amish is in Chof Ches 7. The Rebbe said the Amish is from lying, ready to bring the Geula. He's waiting, but he's kiviyachol dependent on that a Yid should want,
right,
agree, and proclaim that the Geula is already here.
Shingada, right.
Not that it's good, but it's already here. So he's waiting to bring it so that for you to want, agree. And by the way, the Rebbe has it a few times, those words, Vel Namaskim Zayin, in the
a couple of times,
yeah, like
they built the Mugger.
Like sort of, got the. So the idea is that, I mean, the way I understand it, I'm not, I'm not, the self-appointed expert here. But the way I understood it, and the way I got to understand it, I think more over the years, is the idea that how to put it, the simple words. Don't want to get the Haskalah here. That in the very practical sense, to see the world, to experience the world, not in the old way, which is what is Galus? Galus is, Chassidus brings the lashon of the Zohar, Kutshabrichus Salak Leila. Galus is the Amish that goes up. That's how the Mime, the Medrash of the Shiva of the seven sins, that the Amish goes up. So that means that there's a whole new level of concealment, of hiding. The Amish is making himself not accessible. There's the marshal in Sharamun of Mitler Rebbe and Samach Vav of the father who's hiding and wants the child to chase him. And the Rebbe says that model is over. Now the Amish is knocking on your door. He is giving you every possible way and means and opportunity to connect to him in any possible way. You want to learn more Torah, or you don't want to, but you realize you're supposed to want to, and you make something. You want Torah? There you have Sfarim, you have explanations for them, you have in your language, you have in your on a little schmitzke in your pocket. You have what do you want? Any way that you are open to bringing the Amish into your life, opportunities for chesed you want. People lived 100 years or 200 years, they couldn't even imagine. The opportunities that you have are unbelievable. You could be busy 24/7, and then opportunities of chesed. Daven, to take out time to daven. Again, you have everything is available to you. Not only that, it used to be, that was only chassidim daven. Now it's almost embarrassing because everybody's misnagdim, and it's a big thing now. Everybody's busy with davening. They're all talking about emunah and davening, and then connected to Amish. Then they're putting out more and more books, and they're putting out. Everybody's looking for the opportunities and the resources that are at your disposal. Is the Amish is knocking on your door. He's saying, you're out there building me a dira b'tachtonim. The place where I really want to live is inside your head and inside your heart. That's where I want to live. That's where I want to take it all off. That's where I want to be myself. That's where I want to feel at home. So and in your life and in your machshav tibamais and in your chalkei ba'olam, bring me in, and I'm giving you hidur mitzvah. You speak to the chassidim that are still alive. The chassidim, guys who grew up in Samarkand. That's like the last generation of people that are still around. The guys who grew up in Samarkand, they'll tell you who had a tzitzis kafel shmeina, who had a, who was able to be nizen in Pas Yisrael and not eat Pas Palta, who was able to things that to us, Chof Yisrael, this one more, that one less, to keep a beard, to keep just mamish guys who were not stories that we heard from hundreds of years ago. You can walk into Mishalovin on Kingston Avenue, and then they'll tell you the stories. You be Hilke Zaltzman on the street, and they'll tell you the stories. It's not. And we have everything. It's like unbelievable. They're looking for ways to come up with more hidurim, and with more. The marketers, the Judaica marketers, are trying to come up with more hidurim and more things and more. We're flooded. It's really just about how much do we want to embrace the light. That's really what it comes down to. So the Rebbe says, that's David is saying, telling you about Geula. Do you want me here? Are you agreeing that it's brought chassidus that the Amish doesn't want to come into your house? You're making him a dira. So the Rebbe Hashem is a very interesting thing. He says, on the one hand, it's you made it, so it's your dira. You're inviting the Amish into your dira. So but he doesn't want to come in and feel like an intruder, like a stranger. The whole idea of a dira is that you could be yourself. So it's on the one hand, it's like your dira, but you're welcoming in the Amish as like the owner of the dira, not as the visitor. So yeah, God lives here. I mean, in my mind, in my heart, in my life, in my kitchen, bedroom, business. So that's what Geula is. I mean, so the question is, most of us, if we'll be honest with ourselves, we prefer that somebody would, to do like a Chayni Hama'agel, Go to sleep and wake me up when it's all over, and then okay, I get it.
And the Rebbe burned that, by the way.
Right?
The Rebbe burned it.
So I'm saying, we want to, okay, call me when it's done. They just want you to be part of the process. Welcome him in, agree, accept that it's here already. Is it here in every sense? Do we have a base of English? No, the Rebbe didn't say that. In that same seal, the Rebbe spoke about that the place where the base of English needs to come down is here. In 770, here we're doing the work, and then go to, because they're just coming here for us. We're doing the work. We're making it happen. The base of English is also coming for us. It's not coming for that it should be a base of English.
How did you learn the base of English bubble? That the actual base of English is coming down to 770, or you see the Gilly?
It really sounds that way. I don't know how. I don't know how.
That's the way you understand.
But the Rebbe has the different tivuchim of what Moshiach is going to build and what's going to come in Hashemayim. So I don't know how that would work out with all the different possible ways to resolve those contradictions. I don't know, but it sure sounds that way. That on some level, we're talking about an actual. He's the Parkway. Something.
So also they had a discussion about the Avedis of Berurim geendigt. What does that mean? Mitzad us, mitzad Yitzhar, mitzad the Klal. That the Rebbe says also that everything mitzad the Klal, the whole Am Yisrael is ready for the Geula. And mitzad the Prat, it's not complete. That's the same minion. And you can say we still have Yitzhar, but the Klal is.
The idea that the Rebbe says that you say Tzilam Ochama Alibach, but obviously the Alter Rebbe already said that in Likutei Torah that by Yid he's Alibach, he's above the. It's not about fighting. It's about using that as a leverage to get above. It's all about our connection with the Amish. It's all like the Rebbe says. It moved from Birurim, from Kamasel Shem Shemayim to Einoid Muvadli. Now it's about, okay, this is everything. This is, you wake up in the morning with your etzem on a shama, this is everything. It's not about, okay, Abisal Azay, and the Sikha the Tzav, the Avoid of Keteris is all encompassing everything. My insides, my outside, we're all in the.
But this concept, that's what Chassidus is all about all the years. What's inside the Chiddush? That's inside the Pale Mamish. It's something that you can feel and do with Pale Mamish. Is that what it is? So this was a concept, and this was
transitioning from to traditionally that was the reality that the tzaddik, after he worked through all the steps, that the tzaddik would be able to experience that reality where there's nothing else except for the to experience that as reality. But the Beinoni is not as experiencing it as reality because internally he's experiencing that he Adam Atzma, he's experiencing himself as a Yesh V'Dav Nifrat, and he has to overcome that. That's the Beinoni's struggle. It's what Einoid Novadi. I'm the biggest steer at Einoid Novadi because I'm a Yesh V'Dav Nifrat. So how that's the Rebbe saying now we're in a different place. We're obviously through being connected to the Rebbe, through the fact that Moshiach's time, the Moshiach is here, and all the other Lashonos that the Rebbe used. We're supposed to transition out from fighting the darkness, the skeletons, the traumas, the whatever, all the stuff that people are talking can very easily get caught up in because there are tragedies and they're real. There are painful things and they're real. If we gave those same people who are struggling with those things, if we gave them a glimpse into a higher world, right? Imagine this is a guy, like as I told you, I love the story because here's a young black guy who grew up in a slum area and he had an awakening. He describes he had an awakening when he was working, as a stock boy for Pathmark. And there was a whole debate about raising taxes and not raising taxes. And Pathmark, in New Jersey, he was working on it, and Pathmark said, well, if our costs go up, we're going to have to let people go. And he thought, hey, I'm not for more taxes if that means, or they said if they're going to raise the minimum wage, we're not going to be able to have it. Hey, let me make what I can make and I'll work my way up. And he had like an awakening and we went from there that now he's trying to show people who are living Amish in Chayshich Shebechayshich. We can't be massive. that choshech that they're living in, and to just show, and it's, I would talk about it on a very negotiable level, to show them that there's a life out there, there's something out there, there's something better, there's something, nobody else has been able to do that. The system gave up. The system doesn't say, oh, we know how to show them that a better life out there. And there's a guy, they're doing it, these are charities, these are people doing it, and to show a guy, etwas anders, you know, it's etwas hecher. And how it's life changing. It's to realize, yes, there's always the pull to go back. There's always the pull to go back because that's what you know. That's what you're familiar with. That's what you're always going to feel a pull to go back. But you see the light in front of you. You're going towards the light. You're not running away.
But who's pulling us back? That the body is pulling us back, or it's the body is ready to hold the itis.
Did ever said the ready back in? Did ever said Dav Shadalvis? Kommt on Shver, because he's a Golos Yid and he grew up in Golos. His parents are. It's kommt on Shver.
It's a big black hole of 2,000 years that are pulling you back.
Yeah.
So, Rabbi Hamlich, Shalom Aleichem, I miss you. Lang nicht verbracht.
Long time.
We used to verbringen in Borough Park.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you?
I
it took you over a year to get onto our group. You should come visit us every Monday. We have a very geschmack group here. I think it's the only Moshiach Farbrengen that is going on for already over a year, every Monday. Because we live already in Moshiach, so no one wants to work on Monday. So Monday morning, lechatchila, in California, it's morning. Mefabracht every week. Baruch Hashem.
Very nice.
But Reuben, why is a visitor?
I'm not saying a visitor. You should join us. First I said visit. I have to invite him as a visitor. No, it's Baruch Hashem. It's a good. We're Baruch Hashem plowing ahead, and you see. What do you think about this? I'm blown away how it took 30 years for the Rebbe finally to break into Lubavitch in such a beautiful way. It's amazing what's going on. It's so amazing. It's such a bracha. But we have to just keep that energy going. I mean, it's not going the other way because it's an inyan amiti that's just organically coming out. Yeah. But it's amazing to see. You must see it as well. I know the Kavita in Borough Park was saying that people are not ready. They have to first bring people to the Doira Rishon and the Doira Sheni. But I think it's punkt verkehrt, but the only message that really works today is already Doira Shvi and Nun Aleph and Nun Beis. That's it. I don't know if we have to go through the Derech Harucha. Get everybody through the door with the
Minatzchim